We're going to play a little game, Would You Rather, and it's going to be NBA playoff edition. And we're going to start in the East with the Nets. Now, at the current standing, it's Nets first place, 76ers second place. Sixers only a half game back, so anything can happen. But for this one, we're going to play if you are the Nets or the Sixers, whoever ends up taking that 2 seed, who would you rather face? Now, the 2 teams they could be are the Knicks and the Hawks, okay? Both teams have the 4 seed right now. They're tied up for it, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we get closer. So if you are in that 1 seed, who would you rather face as the 4? The Nets or the Knicks, or the Hawks? I'll start with you, Jimmy.
I think I'd rather play the Hawks. And, I was thinking about this. The Hawks might have more offensive talent. They might have more playmakers offensively. And they might have more of an ability to get their shots and get buckets, particularly with Trae Young. But if I go play the Knicks, I want that wrapped up in 4 or 5 games because they play hard defense, they're physical, they're tough, and I don't want to go deep into a series with that. I'm not saying the Nets necessarily would, but if that goes to 6 games, that's not your typical 6 games. That is a knockdown, drag-out, emotionally draining series in the Eastern Conference semifinals, and then you'd have to go play Philadelphia or Milwaukee in the conference finals, both of whom have a ton of talent. So I would take the Hawks in that because the Nets can outscore the Hawks, right? We talk about the Nets defense all season long, but they can score better than anybody probably in the league when they're firing on all cylinders. So I'd much rather play Atlanta because they play the way I want to play, which is just run up and down the court. And then if we have to win games 130, 120, we'll do that. So be it. But I don't want to play the New York Knicks. I don't want that.
Mike, I gotta take you back in time for my answer. And because I am, of course, a Knick fan, it's going to be related to Knick-related pain. So let's do it. Yeah, we've got 11-year-old Chris tuning in every other day to watch his New York Knickerbockers. Carmelo Anthony, I had 2 jerseys. I was very fond of both. One of them being the cursed orange jersey. So, they're going up against the Boston Celtics in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. Now, the Knicks are the better team. Carmelo Anthony is the best player on the court. The Celtics guys are old, yada, yada. And that series sucked. Every minute of it sucked to watch. It wasn't fun. Did the Knicks come out of that series? Did they advance to the second round? Yes, they did. I maintain to this day that the reason we played as poorly as we did against the Pacers, yes, Roy Hibbert existed. And Paul George and Darren Collison, Lance Stevenson, Danny Granger. What a team, man.
David West too was on that team, I think.
Yeah, David West pre-Warriors. I mean, just what a fun squad. And we lost to them. And I maintain to this day that the reason we lost to that Pacers team, the reason Carmelo Anthony did not walk out of that series with a win, is because our team had a lot of older guys, as we just talked about in the last segment. You know, it wasn't built super sustainably, but it was a good team. And they were exhausted out of their minds. The Boston Celtics, despite their age, gave us a run for our money. They gave us a really tough series. They made things really hard on us, even when they were not our opponent anymore, just because of the fatigue. There is not a team in the Eastern Conference right now. There is not one team, in my opinion, that is going to tell you that they'd rather play Atlanta. The New York Knicks play slow. They get the right shots and are recently hitting them. And they have a top defense in the league, not because of incredible Gobert-like personnel. It's the scheme, and it's their execution, and it's their 48-minute devotion to that scheme that is a team that you do not want to match up against in the first round of the playoffs. You are showing up as a top team looking to play a lower seed, and you have to exert yourself as if it's a bunch of it's a tough stretch of the regular season where you've got like Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Suns back to back to back to back. Like, you're gonna be that tired. The games may be easier to win, but they're not going to be easy. This team has the ability to keep it close with any squad in the league, even if they end up losing. You don't want to see the Knicks.
Yeah, I think, Jimmy, you made a great point earlier, and then Chris, your point about tiring out the team. I think the Knicks aren't going to challenge the Nets to win a series. Like, maybe they can send it late into the series, maybe a game 5 or 6, potentially a game 7. Who knows with the NBA playoffs? But the Hawks are a team the Nets can take advantage of because, like you said, Jimmy, they play to their style. And if the Nets want anything, they want that. An easy 5-game series, maybe even 4, where you run them out of the gym, really. I don't think Trae Young, I don't think those guys, Collins, can keep up with the Nets. I really don't. But I think the Knicks can formulate a game plan behind Tibbs that would just give the Nets trouble. I mean, I can't think of a better defensive team in the NBA. It's hard to. They're out there, but Knicks are a top 5 defensive team in the NBA. And I think if you're the Nets, you don't want to see that. And between the Hawks and the Knicks, the best player on either team is on the Knicks. I think Julius Randle has shown himself to be the best player out of both these teams. I mean, 24 points per game, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, he's potentially put himself at the very edge of this MVP discussion. So for those reasons, I think neither team, I think either Nets or if it's the Sixers that I'm claiming that 1 seed, would want to see the Knicks in that first round matchup.
No, I mean, I wouldn't. That's the exact type of team that just wrecks your entire playoff run, right? Like we were talking about March Madness, and what are the types of teams that you don't want to see in round 1, round 2? It's the teams that'll drag you out, that'll press you defensively, that'll make you work for 40 minutes. The Knicks will do that for 48 minutes, and that's why it would be problematic to play them. Round 1, round 2, whatever it may be. It's not even that, I think they would beat the Nets, as you said, Mike, but it's just the way they would go about it would really, really put a dent in things.